Nothing will ever stop me from doing story time. Before we move back into Aeneas, we're going to wrap up the hero unit that we've been doing. So, of course, we've talked about Perseus and Theseus, and we wrapped up Hercules on Friday. And I wanted to go over Jason and the Argonauts because that's a really important myth. He's an important guy in terms of these legends from ancient Greece and Rome, and really the entire Mediterranean world for that matter. And you guys already answered some questions about Jason on that web quest that I gave you. I think it would be great if you had that web quest out while you're listening to this. You might want to take some additional notes on the back because I'm going to give you some notes that were not on those part of those questions. So here we go. Okay, so Jason and the Argonauts. So we're going to start not by talking about Jason at all, but talking about these folks right here. There was a king in an area of Greece, and the king's name was Athamas, and he got married and hooked up with Nephele, who was a cloud goddess. Don't apply logic, please. And they had twins, and the twins were Phrixus, who was a boy, and Helle, who was a girl. Now, King Athamas really can't be married to a cloud forever because she's a cloud and has to go up to the sky. So Nephele, after delivering these two kids and raising them for a while with Athamas, tells Athamas, hey, I gotta go, see ya, but I'm not gonna forget about you or the kids, goodbye. Well, King Athamas kind of forgets about her and ends up getting married again to a woman named Ino, I-N-O. And Ino was sort of a cruel stepmother to Phrixus and Helle. Ino really just wanted them dead, quite frankly. And she was plotting to do so and came up with this really, really elaborate scheme. What she did was, before the seeds for all the crops were planted that particular year, she essentially roasted the seeds just slightly so that when they were put in the ground, no crops would grow. Well, then there was a huge drought that broke out through the land, and King Athamas was worried because his own subjects were starting to die. So he went to go see an oracle and said, what should I do? Well, we don't know exactly what the oracle said, because the messengers that King Athamas sent to go to the oracle were then bribed by Ino. They came back and told Athamas, well, the oracle said that in order for this drought to go away, you must publicly sacrifice your own two children, Phrixus and Helle. And now Athamas is mortified by this, but he feels like he has no choice. This is what he has to do for the good of his own kingdom. So the day comes, and Phrixus and Helle are tied essentially to an altar, and they are about to be sacrificed to the gods when who should intervene but Nephele, the cloud goddess. She makes the chains that bind them, the ropes that bind them, disappear, and she sends a ram with golden fleece, a golden hide essentially, down, and Phrixus and Helle jump on the back of the ram, and this is not just a ram with golden fleece, it's also a ram that flies, and they go flying up into the air, way away from Athamas, and especially from Ino. Now, where do they go? They end up flying from Greece, which is over here, and they fly all the way, just follow my arrow here, they make this route all the way over here to the Black Sea, and into modern-day Georgia, the other Georgia, to a kingdom called Colchis. Now, they both don't make it because apparently right around here, where the current-day Dardanelles is, the Strait of Dardanelles that leads into the Sea of Marmara from the Aegean Sea there, right around there, Helle fell off and died. And so that whole area, by the way, is called the Hellespont, which means the Sea of Helle. Total side note. So Phrixus is the only one who makes it over here to Colchis with the golden ram. The king of Colchis is a man named Aeetes, that's how you pronounce it, and Aeetes shows him lots of hospitality, and actually gives Phrixus his own daughter, one of his daughters, in marriage, and Phrixus is overjoyed and gives this ram with the golden fleece to King Aeetes, who sacrifices the ram, has the fleece cut off, and the fleece is placed over a tree, and there is a never-sleeping dragon that guards it, and this fleece supposedly has magical properties. Okay, so, tuck that away. Boom. By the way, going back for a minute, King Aeetes had a sister. Her name was Pasiphae, you know, the queen of Crete, who jumped in the cow suit and hooked up with the bull to create the Minotaur. Anyway, moving on. Now, another area of Greece, a place called Iolcus. We fast forward a little bit in time, not a whole lot, but just a few years. There's a man named King Aeson, and he has a son named Jason, and Jason's only a baby at this point. But Aeson's half-brother is an evil man named Peleus, and he kicks Aeson off the throne, and he wants to track down Jason and have Jason murdered. But Jason's mother sneaks Jason out of the city, the kingdom of Iolcus, and sends him to a man named Chiron, who's a centaur, that would be a half-man, half-horse, where Jason is raised. Now here is a picture, supposedly, of it's either Jason or Hercules. We're not really sure which one, seeing as how both of them were essentially raised by centaurs. But there he is with a centaur, learning all sorts of skills. Of course, we know that they learned how to fight. We also know that they learned medicine. And, of course, at least in Hercules' case, how to play music or not play music so much. Okay, now fast forward. Jason is now about 15 years old. And Chiron sits him down one day and kind of tells him who he is, and that he should be the rightful heir to the throne of Iolcus, but his evil half-uncle, I guess, is the one who's in charge. And so Jason decides, you know what, I'm going to go to Iolcus and tell them who I am. Now, meanwhile, Peleus, who of course had taken the throne by evil means, people who usually do such things get super paranoid. And he sent his messengers to an oracle and asked the oracle what his future would be. And the messengers came back, and this is what they reported. They said, Peleus, the oracle said that you must beware of the man who wears one shoe, for that man will bring about your death. And so, Peleus then kind of tucks that in the back of his mind. He throws a huge party and invites all the people in the kingdom to come, and he's going to have a huge sacrifice for the gods, etc., etc. Well, Jason hears about this. Of course, he knows who he is at this point, and decides, you know what, I'm going to go to the sacrifice. Now, as he's approaching the city, he comes to a river, and there's a very, very old woman who is standing on the same side of the river as he is, and this woman is afraid to cross. And Jason, being an all-around nice guy, says, can I help you get across? And she says, yes, oh yes, that would be lovely. And she hops on his back. He takes her across the river. Now, in the middle of the river, the current gets really strong, and voila, he loses one shoe. He deposits the old woman on the other side. The old woman immediately, whoosh, poof, appears as 99% goddess form here, as Juno, queen of the gods. And she says, really, it's me. I'm here to protect you. You're a nice kid. And Jason's like, oh, wow, you're awesome. I love you. This is great. Jason then goes into the city, of course, wearing only one shoe. Here's from a wall painting. It's either in Pompeii or Herculaneum. I can't remember which one. And this is the king right here. And the king, Peleus, spots Jason, the newcomer in the city. And if you guys can blow this image up, you'll see that he's clearly wearing a sandal on his right foot, but not a sandal on his left foot. Peleus immediately calls him out and says, you, the one with the one with one shoe, I've been told about you. What do you want? Who are you? Jason explains who he is. I'm Jason, the son of Aeson, the rightful king, and therefore I'm the rightful heir to the throne. Well, Peleus, of course, has been in power for a long time, and he has an army with him, etc., etc. And he kind of laughs at Jason, but he, can't just laugh him off totally because of what the oracle said. And so he says, okay, fine, I will give you this kingdom, Jason, if you bring me the golden fleece. And everybody was like, ooh, the golden fleece, impossible task. And Jason says, fine, I'll do it. So the first thing Jason does is he has a boat built, and the name of the boat is the Argo, A-R-G-O. Here it is from a medieval painting. Why it's floating in midair, you probably shouldn't ask questions. Anyway, and so this boat was a magical boat. It could talk. I don't remember it being able to fly in the stories, but it could definitely talk and kind of tell you, like if danger was ahead, things of that nature. And he assembled, Jason did, a lot of very famous heroes called the Argonauts, since they're all sailing aboard the Argo, to go with him to Colchis to get the Golden Fleece. Among some of those heroes would be Hercules, who didn't make it all the way. He got sidetracked on some different adventure. And Theseus, who also did not make it on the way, because why? This is the journey, the adventure where Theseus and his cousin Pirithous went down to the underworld and got stuck in the chairs of forgetfulness. Anyway, they have all kinds of strange adventures that include clashing rocks and things of that nature that I'm going to just skip on past. And now I want to get to the good stuff, which is they get to Colchis. And when they get to Colchis, they meet King Aeetes, and Jason tells him, hey, I'm here to get the Golden Fleece. And King Aeetes, of course, has welcomed him in and says, oh, the Golden Fleece, really? You've come for that? Well, let me tell you, you can go get the Golden Fleece, but I need you to do me a task first. I need you to go put a yoke on some bulls that I have. And if you can do that, and then sow some seeds for me in a field using those bulls, those yoked bulls, then I'll tell you where the Golden Fleece is. And Jason's thinking in his head, well, that's easy. Sure, yeah, I'll do that. Sure, let's do it tomorrow. Well, kind of similar to the story of Theseus and the Minotaur, the king, Aeetes, has a daughter named Medea. That's Medea. And Medea has fallen in love with Jason, goes to see him in the middle of the night and says, I want to help you. The task that my father has given you, this yoking of bulls and sowing teeth in the ground, it's meant to kill you. For you see, these bulls breathe fire. And even if you did sow the teeth in the ground, what will come out of the ground? Skeletons with swords, a whole skeleton army. So here's what we're going to do. Now she gives him a magic ointment, and she tells him to rub it all over his body right before he goes and encounters the bulls. Sure enough, he does so, rubs it over his body, encounters the fire-breathing bulls, and the fire doesn't hurt him at all. He's able to yoke them, and then King Aeetes is a little bit upset that he's gotten past this, but says, okay, fine, but now you have to sow these teeth, these dragon's teeth, in the ground. So Jason does it. And of course, there's a huge crowd of people at this point who are watching him. And sure enough, just like Medea said, boom, an entire skeleton army pops up that he has to fight single-handedly. Now, they're skeletons. They don't have brains, really. And so, what does Jason do? He, with some help from Medea, who kind of told him what to do, Jason picks up a very large rock and hurls it right into the middle of the skeleton army. The skeletons turn and start heading towards the rock. But of course, they surround the rock, but they're still flailing away with their swords, and the skeletons manage to hack all of themselves up. They just kill each other again, I guess. And Jason stands there triumphant because, hey, he did it, and he's got, he did the task. And so now he's like, hey, where's the Golden Fleece? Well, King Aeetes tells him where the Golden Fleece is, and Jason goes forth. Now Medea is going to help him again. There are a couple of different versions of what happens next and how Jason gets past the dragon. One version is that Medea gives him some ointment, he puts it on, and he's essentially able to just go and put some additional ointment onto the dragon, which makes it go to sleep, or he feeds him something that's drugged and it makes him go to sleep, and then he sort of sneaks past, grabs the golden fleece that's hanging on the tree, and runs away. That's one story. Another story is that Orpheus, the famous musician, he was part of the Argonauts. Orpheus plays a tune on his lyre, a very calming tune that makes the dragon fall asleep. And at that point, then Jason goes and runs and grabs the golden fleece and runs away. And then there's this third random story, which, I don't know, I just put the image here because I think it's funny, that he's not able to get past the dragon. The dragon swallows him whole. But then he gets an assist from Minerva, a.k.a. Athena, who makes the dragon throw Jason back up, regurgitate him whole. And the dragon is sort of stunned, I guess, because he's thrown up this huge thing that he's sort of woozy. And in that wooziness, Jason is able to grab the fleece and run away. Now, King Aeetes, of course, does not want this fleece to be gotten at all. And so he's really mad and sends an army after Jason, who's running away. And of course, who's running away with Jason but Medea, because she wants, just like Ariadne did, she wants Jason to take her away and become a queen of a foreign land. And how does Medea prevent Aeetes from catching up to Jason before they can get to the ship and get on? Well, this is kind of gross, but Medea takes one of her brothers, her younger brothers, kills him and chops him up into little pieces and starts throwing the body parts randomly. And King Aeetes stops and picks up the body parts to reassemble his son. Because King Aeetes is sort of just like Medea is a witch. King Aeetes is a sorcerer. His sister, besides Pasiphae, by the way, is also Circe, if you know about her from the Odyssey. Anyway, Jason and Medea are able to get away, and they go back to Iolcus and try and reclaim the throne. They show Peleus the golden fleece, and of course Peleus says, yeah, sorry, you still can't have it. Fight ensues, and Medea, please don't ask me logical questions about this, manages to convince Peleus' daughters to kill Peleus, their own father, chop him up and put him into a boiling cauldron. She apparently had promised that she would then resurrect him into a god, and of course she refuses to do so. Now the people of Iolcus kind of get mad and tell Jason and Medea to leave. They go into exile and to a town called Corinth, and while they're in exile, Jason does something bad. He falls in love with the daughter of the king of Corinth, and the daughter's name is Glauce. That's Glauce. Medea gets wind of this, and she comes up with another trick. She takes a very nice dress and smothers it with poison, very similar to the way that Hercules died, gives it to Glauce and says, hi, you're beautiful. Would you like this dress? And Glauce says, yes, of course, thank you. Puts the dress on, and immediately her skin is engulfed in flames and she dies. And then, to make it more apparent to Jason that he was in the wrong, Medea then takes her 2 children that she had by Jason, murders them right in front of him, and then hops on a chariot that's pulled by dragons and flies away, never to be seen again. Jason, by the way, does end up becoming king of Iolcus, but he's sort of a sad and lonely man at that point. And one afternoon, he's taking a nap underneath the ruins of his old ship, the Argo, right by the sea, on the beach, and a piece of timber from the Argo falls and hits him on the head, and he dies. So that is the story of Jason and the Golden Fleece, and the Argonauts, and Medea. Oh, it's a good one.